Hello everybody. So today I'm going to teach you on how to make a cool effect like a Death Eater effect in Fumefx 3ds Max. So for all those of you who haven't watched my previous video, I'll be leaving a link down. So do watch it. I have covered the basics of Fumefx in that video and we are carrying from where we left off in that video. So first what we do is let's make a Fumefx grid like so. Press W to make it down, and what we're going to do for this effect is we are going to create an object source. So let's go ahead and make a sphere. Let's elongate it on the y-axis and let's make it a bit smaller. Yep, this looks good. And let us animate it. So about frame 25, say I want it to go here. So we have a nice motion here. Now let's go and edit it in our Fumefx box. So first let's get this up to 150, 100. And what I can do is in the 0th frame I can take this a bit higher, and yeah, so let's go ahead and create an object source. So once I do that, I can click on the sphere and here we have an object source. I can press sim, and as you can see we have our sim. Now let me go ahead and turn on GPU viewport display so I can see what is really happening. As you can see, there's fire. I don't want the fire, I want only the smoke. So either I can go ahead and turn off simulate fuel from here, or I can go in the render tab and shut off the fire. So if you see, the fire is gone, it won't render either. Now the next thing that I want to do is I don't want to look at the sphere, so I'm gonna hide the sphere. And let's go ahead and decrease the spacing a bit. Let's make it to 1. Let us now tweak our settings. Let's increase our vorticity to 0.95. Now we need more turbulence. So this is the z-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis, as you can see. So we need more turbulence in the x-axis. Let's make it to 1.5. In the y-axis we need less, and in the z-axis we will need more. Let us increase the details level. Let's see, about 0.4 looks good, or let's make it 0.35. And as you can see, we need let us increase this. Let's make it 0.8, looks good. And now let me sim this. As you can see, we're getting a cool effect, right? But there is less smoke, and to be honest, there's not much detailing in the smoke either. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is make fire create smoke. So what this does is, as the fire is burning, smoke is being created from the fire. So in our sim, our simulate fuel is still on. That means that the fire is actually there, but it's not being rendered. So via that fire we can get additional smoke, which will have a really cool effect. Let's go ahead and increase the density of both. I can make the density of this to about say 3.5. We can go ahead and increase the velocity. And let me go ahead and sim it one more time. As you can see, we're getting a much better effect. We're getting a nice swirl around here. And yep, it's looking good. Now the smoke is spreading a lot. So this is due to the expansion, which controls the smoke being created from the fire. So if I reduce this, there will be less expansion of the smoke, but we still need it to dissipate even faster. So what I'm going to do is increase the dissipation right here. We can increase the dissipation by making this 0.5 and let's say making this 8. Now we can see how fast it'll dissipate faster. If we want, I think we can go ahead and increase this further. Let's make it to 1 and 14. Yep, it's looking good now. And what I want to do is, once the Death Eater basically reaches touches on the ground, I want a sort of a effect which expands and gives up smoke in all directions. So I can do that in two ways. I can either create particles and use a particle source, or I can use an object source, which is simpler. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I am just going to edit the same sphere. So once we go on this frame, let's auto key. I can make this go right here, and say on frame 45 I want it to increase in this proportions and a bit less on the Z axis. Let's get it up. Right, so if you see, now we have the sphere going like this. Now let's sim it and see how it's gonna look. I think we need it to be a bit more faster. And from this smoke which is coming out, a person basically comes out. Right? Now here there is just too much smoke which I don't want. So what I'm going to do is I am going to key the smoke densities which I have increased right here. So what I can go ahead and do is from frame 25, let's make it say 10, and let me go ahead on frame 45 and make it 0, and right here I want it to be 10, not 4.17. So I got 10 constant and then it reduces to 0. Now same thing I can do here with this. So what I do is make this 0, and I can go here and make it 3.5. Now the fact that you see a red box means that there is a keyframe on this frame. So let's go ahead and see what the result is. Yep, it's looking good. Let me see where the sphere is, right here. And I don't want the velocity also to be so much, so I'm gonna reduce my inherent velocity. Let's make this to 0. Oops. So I want it to be 0.3 here. I want it to be 0.3 here. And I want it to be 0 right here. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is let's try and get a test render out. Let's add a few lights. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a target direct light. Let's get one light from here. Now let's first change the settings of this light. Let's select the light, make shadows on, use global settings, and ray trace shadows. Go on shadow parameters and turn on atmosphere shadows. And what we can go ahead and do is to select this, press Ctrl V, let's make a copy. And let's go ahead and change this up a bit. What I can do is go ahead and increase the intensity of this light, say to 2.5. Now what I need to do next is select this, go to illumination and select both the lights and make sure that cast shadows and receive shadows are on. Once that is done, I can enable multiple scattering. Let's make this to 7. Yep, it seems good. And I don't want the smoke to be gray in color. I want it to be black. So, or sort of a dark gray. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me increase the shadow fall off. And let's sharpen our strength. And let's make this 1.2. Yep. Let's make our ambient color a bit darker. Let's go ahead and play around with certain values right here. First let's sim and let's see what we've got. You can see the smoke coming in. And boom. And from here the man pops out and yep, it's looking good. Let's go ahead and say render this frame. Yep, looks good. We can also go ahead and decrease our spacing a bit. Let's make it about 0.65. It'll take obviously more time to sim, but yep, you get the idea. And let's play around a bit with our turbulence. Now as you can see, we've got a lot of turbulence on this axis which we want to reduce. Let's make it 0.8. On our x-axis, I think our turbulence is fine. On the z also our turbulence looks good. We can go and also increase our dissipation from here. And let's sim. So as you can see, we're getting a much more detailed smoke because we have reduced the spacing. Yep, this is looking quite good. You can go ahead and render this part out too. Let's see what we get. Yep, so as you can see, we're getting a cool effect. And let's get a test render done here, just about when the sphere hits the ground, and this also looks really good. So we can play, once you've done this, you can play around with many values. You can we can turn on cubic interpolation. What this does is it gives more detailing around the edges of the smoke. We can play around with the direction strike. Let's make it about 1.7. I think we have done a lot in the render tab. We don't need to touch that now. And we can probably even increase the smoke out here. Say we can make it to 5 right here, and from 5 it's going to 0, right, like so. And let's render it one last time. You can see we're getting a much denser smoke. This one looks nice. I'm gonna stop it right here. Let's render. You can see we're getting a cool effect here. We can further tweak some of the turbulence values. We can get even different results than what we've got right now. So we can increase this. Let's make it about 0.65. As you can see, if we hover around it, it shows us what it actually means. So the small details amount, it will add more contribution for each successive detail. So the more we increase it, the more detail we get. Let's make it about 0.85 was good. And let's see what we get here. I'm gonna stop it right here, and let me go and render this frame out. So as you can see, we're getting a much different type of smoke. Personally, I like this one better. So the more spacing you reduce, you will get a much more detailed smoke. Obviously this one will take much more time. You can go around and play around with the turbulence values. You'll get different results. Perhaps you can get a even better result than this. And yep, I guess this is it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it, and don't forget to comment on what you thought about this tutorial. Thank you and have a great day.